How's everyone doing today? I'd like to welcome you to the Performance Pulse podcast. Now, this is episode number 36, and I'm picking up right where I left off. About a month ago, I shot episode 35, and that was called Back to Basics. And that was after about laying dormant for a little bit more than 3 or 4 months with this podcasting. And when I had saw a friend at a wedding, and he asked me, "Where's the podcast been, man? I was tuning in." That really was like a dagger in my heart, and it was like, oh shit, I gotta definitely get back on this. You're never gonna have the right studio, the right setting, but I have shit to say, and so it's important that I talk. But in this time over the last month, a lot has changed for me. I recently relocated to Fayetteville, North Carolina, where I'm now working at Fort Liberty. But before I dive into that, in that episode, I discussed the pillars for my life and really establishing what I want for myself moving forward, trying to make each day my masterpiece and trying to be incredibly intentional about where I allocate my time and what I want to get out of that after an extended period of time. I think that's very important to set goals and always be working towards something. Not doing shit for the sake of doing it, but being intentional behind what's the outcome that I want and being able to have a body of work that you can be proud of. And so getting back to basics was about establishing what those pillars are and having a roadmap for how I can incorporate them in my day-to-day life and execute and be happy with the work that I'm doing. Since that episode, now that I'm here in Fayetteville and I am in flow, beyond working at the military base, I actually work at Methodist University as a fitness coordinator and hope to work with some of their athletic teams. And on the other side of my job with my military unit, I have a group of about 120 soldiers, and they will be deploying in October. And I've been fortunate enough to inherit a group that wants to train and get better. And so we've gotten them rolling rather quickly. We have total buy-in. They're getting better every day. And the one thing that I love is that this type of training is beyond game day. It's getting them combat ready, and we're training through this simulation of what I like to call life or death. That's incredibly important, and I'm really big on mindset training as well. But beyond that, it's the different modalities of exercise, and I'm really able to expand on my skill set as a coach. Fundamentally, I am a educator and a coach, and so coach has got a coach, baby. And so I'm just happy to have a team, and I'm able to work with them 5 days a week. And so that brings me a sense of wholeness, and that allows the other aspects of my life to really take off. The writing, I've been incredibly intentional. I had a piece that really hit me called Visions of the Other Side on Medium. And for those who would like to read some of my writing, medium.com at Coach Wilson. And I have total alignment now across all social platforms. And that is that I have a consistent handle, and that is Antone G. Wilson, from YouTube to X to LinkedIn and to Instagram. And I'm really posting this journey that I'm on right now. Another exciting thing that I began is Coach's Corner, which is an extension of the Third and 10 podcast by my man Nate. He has a production company that he's been building, podcasting about football, talk about personnel, his team, the New York Giants. He has a group of about 3 or 4 other guests, and they create a lot of different productions. And I'm fortunate enough to have a segment once per week where I can talk a little bit of ball, talk about my expertise and how I see the sport as a whole, from the business side of things, player development, some players to look out for, some trends within the league. And so that is probably the one thing that I am most passionate about, and how football has its place in my life. Along with the game of football, NCAA football, I talked about on my last podcast how it was important for me to get on this game so I can get my fix. Well, I'm on the sticks now. I'm in a dynasty with 11 other people. Shout out Coach Sully, Rob Pack, and the other boys that are on that. Absolutely love playing that game. Now, I'm not very good yet. I conceptually understand how to play, and I'm running a pretty good scheme with my 3-3-5 tight defense. I love using 2 tight ends, but I still got a lot of work to do. But that is a phenomenal game. To the people at EA Sports, you did a hell of a job with the gameplay. It's like you listened to the people over the course of the last decade in regards to what they would want in the next NCAA football game, and you guys absolutely delivered. So shout out to the people at EA Sports, and I'm very excited for this college football season. I'm actually going to begin looking at the gambling line a little bit and see if I can put my expertise to the test, maybe get another stream of income, but that's a conversation for another day. On a personal note, though, just talking about how much I have improved from my last episode and really just following through on my word, which I believe is incredibly important, is with running. Running is the driving force of my life, and it also calms me. It's like you're in a state of you versus you, and it's like this zen-like place for me. And I'm always able to analyze not just the volume, but what are my splits. And now I'm knocking my splits down to sub 7 minutes, which was definitely a milestone for me, hitting anywhere between 20 to 35 miles a week and doing it consistently. And the more you run, the better you get. Been working on a book as well. I have a lot of things going on and they keep me busy, and I established that if I am not busy, I'm going to fuck off. And so I have to make sure that I always have something going on. And writing is something I've been incredibly intentional about. And having recently wrote a piece called Visions of the Other Side on the Medium platform, to now working on my book called They Call Me Coach, How to Thrive in the Final Days of Capitalism. I have a really nice outline, and I've gathered all of my raw journal entries over the course of the last 4 years, which really take you into the depths of my soul as to what I've gone through, different stories from encounters that I've had all throughout the country, the highs and lows of building my business, referencing key moments in my life, in understanding race, identity, a lot of introspection, and how this coincides with coming of age in perhaps one of the most chaotic times in modern American history, and really growing into the leader that I always envisioned myself to be. And so I'm really trying to use writing as a medium, no pun intended, to tell my story and give people a fresh, neutral perspective on the world from someone who's seen it from all angles. So as far as following through on my word with the pillars of my life, I believe that I'm now on a path to begin producing my best work. And that is really exciting. But performance pulse, that's why we're here. And podcasting to me is absolutely an art. And I was on a podcast about 3 weeks ago with a buddy of mine, Ryan Brady. Shout out, Ryan. You really inspire me. Beyond the fact that you're wise beyond your years, you're always a great conversation. How he's releasing podcasts. He has a ton of amazing guests from all these different industries. Now, he talks about public speaking, how to land speaking opportunities, and what you can do to develop as a speaker. And so he's speaking with really accomplished people, but it's the volume. It's not necessarily the quality of production. He's shooting some of these episodes as he's walking down the street. But I have a great deal of respect for the fact that he wanted to develop a platform where he can have conversations with people. And he likes to say, this conversation is no different than if we were just having, a cup of coffee at a local shop. We're just having a one-on-one and we're just shooting the shit. And the fact that he is able to showcase that, and I'm sure that he has well over 100 episodes and he's continuing to build it, and he's not overcomplicating the process to the point where he just has a high volume of episodes. Now, we've had great conversations and our relationship evolved beyond the scope of business, but I saw every single day on LinkedIn, he just has all these different guests and he's producing great content to the point where I reached out and was like, hey man, can I get on your podcast? And I was able to shoot that episode with them and I thought it went really well. And so I was like, I gotta just start creating as many episodes as I can, but it's about quality and delivering it. And having watched a lot of podcasts, having been really influenced by those in the media space, a couple that I wanna highlight, Colin Cowherd, from his days at ESPN, now at Fox. I love how he's so theatrical. He does such a great job of drawing parallels from like sociology and business and just these human dynamics. Calling athletes grown up, saying, are they buttoned up enough? What are some of the key attributes he believes for an individual to thrive in the sports world? And just certain trends that organizations must adopt in order to have a formula for sustainable success. I just believe that he is an absolute leader in that field. He's one of the best and someone that I definitely aspire to meet one day. But aside from Colin, who's probably one of my earliest influences in the media space, Bill Simmons, and that's because he's the counterculture guy. Another fellow Bostonian, and started off at ESPN And it seems to me that he was just really disruptive and had a lot of shit to say, to then starting Grantland and now The Ringer. And, he's absolutely a homer, but he's just unapologetic and he's just himself. And he viewed this media lens from a different angle in which he was like, I can control the platform. There's something to be said about the American dream and personal autonomy in exercising your freedom of speech and really just revolutionizing the sports media space as a whole. I have a great deal of respect for Bill Simmons, and the influence that he's had on the industry as a whole. And then lastly, as a football coach, John Gruden, from his QB camp to the mannerisms, the passion that he has as he's talking about these plays and these concepts and really trying to tap in to the spirit of the quarterbacks that he's talking to, trying to figure out how they're wired, seeing how well they really know their shit. I love John Gruden. Okay, football coach. He did win a Super Bowl, but taking that to then Monday Night Football, he was just great. And it's the animation. I think a lot of the casual fans don't really understand the inner workings of the game, but a lot of coaches aren't that personable or have that crazy personality in which they can really put it on display on camera. And so I just think that he really blurred some lines, and he was a huge influence for me. And so I try to coach with that type of animation. So on the 3rd and 10 podcast, you see that on display as I'm really talking the thing that I know best. And so a lot of this Coach Wilson persona, if you will, because Antone and Coach are two very different people, is influenced by John Gruden. So trying to carry on some of that John Gruden persona into this podcasting world is something that I want to embody for sure, because Coach Wilson is how I got here in the first place. And so now tying all these influences that I have into this podcasting world, it's like I'm definitely pretty intentional in the fact that I want to build a body of work. And one day I'd like to call games. I don't know if I'll ever roam the sideline again. We can't never say never, right? But I would like to be able to do this so frequently and be known as an expert, in which one day I have the opportunity to call games at the collegiate level. I believe I have a lot to give, and so trying to get better at podcasting so that I can ultimately land a bigger opportunity, I think that would be great. JJ Redick, another guy, went from player to media, now into coaching, and really just carving his own lane. I think he's going to be incredibly successful, and that's a conversation for another day. But you're seeing all these influences from all these different spaces. But this podcasting formula, I know moving forward, the Performance Pulse podcast is far less about Coach Wilson as the speaker and more about Coach Wilson having really unique conversations with incredible people from all different walks of life that are in totally unrelated fields. And we just hop on a conversation and we have a split screen and we just create the production. That is step one. And what I want to talk about is what this formula is to really have a successful podcasting platform. I think you absolutely have to have a theme with your podcast. You definitely need to have guests, or you need to have a subject matter that you focus in on. Now, I'm interested in a lot of things and I have another space to talk about football. So I want to try to have unique conversations because I have the range to have them and give really talented people a space where they can come on and be themselves. We can go into the depths and talk about things that they don't really talk about on a day-to-day basis. And I know the conversations that I have in my everyday life, I've encountered some wild people. I would say even some of the friends that I'm closest with, they are so unique. They are all one of ones. I was just thinking about the next piece I'm going to write, and it's like Coach Wilson's collection of Pokemon. And that's how I almost define all of my closest friends, from what they do for work, their lifestyle, their upbringing. They all inspire me so much. And so it's a lot of those relationships that not only help me as a coach in understanding different personality types, but understanding unique traits in highly talented people and having a space for them to talk on this platform. So from creating the podcast, shooting episodes frequently, and then taking that raw piece of content and really just throw a caption on it, figure out what our best 5 to 10 clips are, and just mass producing it across different platforms in the form of like shorts or short form videos, and just doing that frequently as far as having like different themes on different days, promoting the guest, having a thumbnail Gary V style now, to where you just have a lot of different content and you're doing it frequently. And that's the only way you build a following, because people know what they can expect, the quality that they can anticipate from you, and when they're going to get it. And as long as you're recognizable, if it's good, ultimately it's going to hit. So that's the formula, I would say, really in 2024, to at least get a podcast off the ground. That's something that I'm looking to adopt as I move forward. And so upon the conclusion of episode 36, I really hope to just have as many guests on as possible and release an episode every week. Looking at my podcast catalog, I got episodes 1 through 5 done over the course of like 2 to 3 months. And I was pretty proud of that. And then I just fell off a cliff, and then I moved around a little bit, and then I started talking about my business, and I stopped, and then I went into a studio format. I tried to talk about general news. I tried to be funny. Then I stopped, and I tried to hone in on physical fitness. Then I stopped, another episode here and there, couple guests. And I want to shout out, some of the guests that have been on my podcast in the past, from Josh Bullock, who is a true scientist in the exercise physiology world, Hiba Khalid, who is a doctor turned entrepreneur, Scooby Mageza, who works over at ESPN, Rob Fajardo, who is the founder of LMB, and that's just to name a few. And all those people inspire me, and they were great conversations. We've had some good productions, but it just hasn't been nearly consistent enough. And so doing this frequently and having an episode just once per week, you can have a conversation easily, even if it's someone that you already know. And so let's just put it on display and let's make a production out of it. Even some coworkers in all different places as well. I think from shooting in the place that I'm staying in now to the place I'll be in 2 months, shooting at a coffee shop. You just got to get it done. And after you do it for an extended period of time, you'll be able to put more resources into it. It'll be justified to where we could get a studio. We're trying to create a catalog similar to the Joe Rogan format here. We're just naming episodes. Let's get up in the 2000s. Can we do it? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I like putting my aspirations out there for the world to see, and then I'm able to reflect and hold myself accountable. I think that's really important, is personal accountability. And as I transition, or rather wrap up this episode, because I don't really want to talk for a long period of time. I wanted to get this off my chest, really set the stage for what's to come, say what I've been up to, talk about my approach to podcasting, get the hell out. But this transformation over the course of the last 60 days really stems around my system for life. And that begins with going to bed at the same time every day, even on the weekends. Having my allocated time for fun, Thursday night, that's usually the date night. Won't get into my personal life, but again, that's why I block out that time. Also knowing that Mondays is hard run day, and it all starts on the night before. I'm a little all over the place, but screw it. It starts really on Sunday, as far as writing out how many times am I going to work out for the week? What are 3 things that I have to get done? What are the pieces of content that I want to produce? And what are going to be blocks of time in which I may slack off? I'm going to have to really emphasize being focused. What days can I find the nights stretching out a little longer, in which I'm going to have to catch up for sleep on the next day? Being realistic, having a plan, but being mindful of some crucial moments that may arise and how I'm going to have to respond. So I map that out on Sunday. On Monday, I get out strong, have a strong run in the morning, and Monday's really just about getting all the small things done. Tuesday's where I start posting on social media, being proactive. I'm on X quite a bit, really just talking politics and sports. That is a really cool platform. It's like a public forum. Tuesday's a very active day. Wednesday, I'm generally shooting the Performance Pulse podcast. Thursday, I'm shooting 3rd and 10. Friday, I'm hyperactive on LinkedIn. Saturday and Sunday, I do have a job that I'm working in the daytime. Important runs in the morning, and I'm blocking off some time in Saturday evening for some sort of social event. Because I have a calendar that maps out how I'm going to live my life, and I'm very intentional about what my plan is for the week. I have a formula in place to yield the success I want, and that is in all the things that I dedicate my time into, so that I'm not just doing things, but I'm trying to build a body of work that I can be proud of. I think meaning is something that everyone is searching for, so it's important to get really, really clear as to what you want for your life. There's so much value in every single moment, and something that I live by is this acronym. WIN stands for win, and what that means is what's important now. And if I can get very clear as to what I'd like to achieve today, and I know the small things that I have to do and the impact that that's going to have after an extended period of time on getting me where I want to go, then there is value in everything I dedicate my time to. And so that is what winning daily is all about. And that's what I try to do because, yeah, I'm going to be honest. To me, winning is everything. That's all I got. Coach Wilson checking out. Win the day, y'all.